Thank you all for joining us today for the Getting Started with Orchid workshop. Joining us today is Christina Miskey, the Scholarly Communication Librarian for Research Infrastructure. She's going to discuss the benefits of researcher IDs, specifically Orchid IDs, and how to create and enhance your Orchid profile. With that, I'll hand it over to Christina to get started.
Hey everybody, and thank you for that introduction. I'm going to share my screen. So thank you everybody for coming today. As you were already told, this is Getting Started with Orchid, and today's workshop is going to be really interactive, and there's going to be lots of opportunities to ask questions throughout the workshop. So with that, I was already kind of introduced, but we'll do it again just for fun. So my name is Christina Miskey, and I'm the Scholarly Communication Librarian for Research Infrastructure. My pronouns are she, her, hers. And I always like to throw a little something fun into my workshops. So here is a picture of my dog, Momo, ready to play. So he likes to play around. So I like to turn him. So to recap, what we're going to cover today is we're going to learn the benefits of researcher IDs, specifically Orchid. We'll be creating an Orchid account if you don't already have one. And we'll begin by populating your new profile with background, research, and scholarly activity. And we're going to walk through all of these things together. But before we jump into that, I do have a couple quick questions for those of you that are here today. So you can use the QR code on the screen if you want to use your phone, or you can go to slido.com and then type in the number on the screen, 3054763. And the first question I have is, what is your major or area of study? And don't worry, this is anonymous. So if you're worried about your name appearing on the screen, it won't. It's entirely anonymous. This just helps me figure out who I have here today and helps me as I move forward through the workshop. Wow, a wide variety of majors here today. That's awesome. I like to see a lot of different folks from a lot of different majors. So we have hospitality, civil engineering, a couple public policy folks, developmental psychology, nursing, and a couple people from hospitality. That's awesome. So I do have one more question for you. And this is just for my curiosity. Why are you interested in learning about Orchid or researcher IDs? And if you don't know, that's okay. If you're, but I'm just curious to know why you're interested in learning about this. For future publications. All right, that's awesome. Open science, okay. I have an account, but I'm unsure why I have it. Well, then you're definitely in the right place today. And you're working on publishing and curious about other research options. And those are all great reasons to learn. Yeah, so it looks like we have a lot of different answers today. The good news is this is the right workshop for you. So let's go ahead and get started. So first you might be asking, what are researcher IDs and why do they even matter? So they're also called scholar IDs, and you might have heard of this term before. Because most publishing is online and always growing, there's an ever-increasing number of researchers that share similar names or who change their names over time and who want to make sure others find their research. Another problem that can happen is publications in online profile systems, such as Google Scholar, can get attributed to the wrong person, whether that's you or to somebody else. So using researcher ID, such as Orchid, when publishing helps to significantly reduce, if not eliminate, these types of issues. So the next question you might ask is, what kind of researcher IDs are out there? The three primary identifiers are ORCID, Researcher ID, and Scopus Author ID. And you may already have heard of one, none, or all of these. So Researcher ID and Scopus Author ID can get automatically created by the Web of Science and Scopus databases. And it's up to you to claim them so the work associated with them in those databases is attributed to you. You do have to create your own ORCID record, but we're going to cover that more in a little while. Some examples of other identifiers that exist that you might end up becoming familiar with is PubMed ID, which is often associated with articles that get published. Archive Author ID, which is an author ID that's associated specifically with the archive platform. And even Google Scholar, because it's creating a unique profile that's associated with your Google account. And these systems and other platforms like them often have their own ways of disambiguating authors on their individual platforms. So what is ORCID anyways? ORCID stands for Open Researcher and Contributor ID. It's a registry that provides unique, persistent, non-proprietary identifiers for researchers, creators, and contributors of all types. It continues to grow as a standard in academia as more and more publishers and grant funders are requiring them. Each individual can create a free account that will always be free to you. ORCID is supported by institutions like UNLV that pay for membership to grow the digital infrastructure so researchers like you don't have to pay. ORCID helps to solve the problem of name ambiguity by providing a free service for you to register for your own unique persistent identifier known as an ORCID ID to distinguish yourself throughout your career, despite any changes in name, career, location, discipline, or other variables. Each person that registers obtains a unique 16-digit identifier that is usually shown as a URL like you see here on the screen. You can click it and be taken to someone's profile, where you can look at their previous work, see other names they've been known as to ensure you have the right person, and a lot more. So as a researcher, once you have filled in your ORCID record and continue to authorize organizations as trusted parties connected to your ORCID record, you can use ORCID to distinguish yourself from others, manage your reputation and research impact, get credit for your research, contributions, and affiliations, and ultimately save time on data entry for funding, publishing, and research reporting workflows. ORCID is used by several major research institutions, publishers, and funders across the globe. Over 70 publishers now require ORCID IDs with their manuscript submissions, and grant funders are increasingly requiring ORCID IDs for grant proposals, including some very recent federal funding guidelines changes that started to go into effect this year. By including your ORCID ID in publishing and funding workflows, you can ensure that your work and contributions will be accurately linked to you, not accidentally credited to somebody else. And research institutions around the world are also increasingly using this ID for tracking purposes and to help disambiguate different authors. So for example, here at UNLV, the Office of Sponsored Programs requires an ORCID when submitting the internal routing board for grant proposals. We've also integrated ORCID with UNLV Folio, which is a faculty system that we use here. And you can connect your ACE account to log in with one username and password. Now that you've learned a little bit about what ORCID is, let's move on to the really interactive part of the workshop. I've broken this down into 4 major steps that we're going to cover together. Feel free to ask questions at any time if you're unsure about something or you need me to go over something again. There's also going to be time at the end for questions. So first, we're going to create an ORCID account, which is also known as an ORCID record. Now, at least one of you already has an ORCID account. So if you do, this part isn't going to take very long. What I would like you to do though is log into your profile, and then you can follow along and check your visibility settings, make sure your email is verified, etc. So for those of you creating new accounts, you'll want to go to the URL that's on the screen. So https://orchid.org/register. You're going to start entering your information, such as your name and an email address, and then you'll choose a password for your account. Now, when you're entering your email address that you want to be associated with your account, particularly because you're students, I would not recommend using your UNLV student email address. This is because when you graduate, you will lose access to this email. So I would recommend using a personal email address to register for your account so that you can still have easy access to this after you graduate. So you'll enter your information and then it'll ask you to choose whether you want notifications from Orchid or not, such as emails. And this is entirely optional and up to your preferences. Once you do that, you'll select your visibility settings. So there's 3 levels of visibility settings. You can choose everyone, which is visible to anyone on the internet. You can choose trusted parties, which is a restricted profile that allows visibility only to organizations or individuals that you give access to. Or you can choose private, which is private to anyone except you. So this is going to depend on the privacy level that you want. You can also go back and change this at any time. Everyone, the public visibility, is the most common option selected, but that doesn't mean that you have to choose public. When you're done selecting those settings, then you're going to click register and log into your email to verify your account. This whole process should take a minute or 2. So I've gone over that. So it's been a little bit of time. I do want to be conscious of everyone's time. So if there's no objections, I'm going to move on to the next step.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions for Christina? Were you all able to create your Orchid ID? If you have any questions or objections, just go ahead and leave them in the chat. Okay, I think everyone is good.
Okay. So now we're going to start adding information to your accounts. So you want to make sure that you're logged into your new Orchid account, or if you already had an account, make sure you're logged into that one. And then you can follow along on the next few slides. So when you're logged in, this is kind of what your account is going to look like. This is the edit account screen. Yours is not going to have anything entered in it right now, except maybe your email address. So we're going to focus on some specific sections in this part. So we're going to focus on your names, biography, websites and social links, employment, and education. So you can see those that are circled on the screen. And you can, in order to edit any of these sections, you can either click a pencil. So you'll see the pencil on the right side of each box, or you'll see an add button with a plus sign inside a circle. So either one of those will get you to the edit section of a specific part. So we're just going to start with the basics right now. First, let's add your most recent degree. And if you currently have a position, your current position to the education and employment sections. You can always go back in and add more later, like if you have additional degrees or your employment history, if you choose to. This is just to get us started for the for the workshop. So I'll give everyone a little bit of time to do that. And if you don't have a current position, but you've had one previously, you can add your most recent past position as an example. Once you've done that, now we're going to start adding some more background information. So then if you want to add an alternate email address, such as your UNLV student email, you can add that to your profile. If you have a preferred name or other names that you were known by or want to publish under, you can also enter those here. If you have a Twitter or other social media, a website or another profile you want to add, you can add those here as well. Now the biography section, which is at the top center, is where you can put a short paragraph about who you are and what your expertise is. But you don't have to fill that in now, because I'm not expecting you to have a written paragraph of your background and research interests ready to go for this. So what you'll want to do is you'll want to write something up if you don't have something up, and then you can add it to your account later. So I'll give you a little bit of time. If you have any questions, I'll pause here for questions, and then we'll move on to the next step.
All right, I will let you know if any questions pop into the chat. None so far.
I usually get the most questions in the next parts, so.
Gotcha. Okay. All right, if there are no questions at the moment, then I think we're good to move on.
Okay, great. So now we've gotten some of our profiles started. We've added our background information, and now we're going to focus on starting to add scholarship. If you don't have any scholarship yet, that's okay. You can still follow along with us and prepare for future scholarship when you're going to start publishing. So I'm going to walk you through connecting your profile to some trusted organizations that are going to help make it easier for you to update future scholarship moving forward, as well as any past scholarship you might have. Before we hop into that, I want to tell you what a trusted organization is. So a trusted organization, they are typically research institutions, publishers, or funding agencies that have integrated Orchid with their systems, such as a central identity management or profile system, an HR system, a research information and reporting system, a publishing platform, repositories, grant management systems, for just a few examples. It's a good idea to connect your Orchid with as many of your affiliated organizations as possible, because you can often save time by letting these organizations add information to your Orchid record for you instead of doing it manually. Connecting with trusted organizations increases the chances that your contributions and works will be linked to you, recognized, and credited. And the example here on the screen is shown from the University of Virginia, where Orchid is integrated with their institutional repository and allows individuals to authorize the university as a trusted organization to add works information to their Orchid record for them. And as you can see, University of Virginia is listed as the source of this entry, which will happen if they add information to your record. Organizations cannot add information to your Orchid record unless you give them permission, and you can always revoke permission at any time, no matter how much time has passed or how little time has passed. So when you're going to authorize an organization as a trusted party or a trusted organization, they must ask you for permission to connect with your account. When you go to interact with the system that is integrated with Orchid, you will be prompted to authorize permission for the institution to connect your Orchid ID and record. In this example on the screen, the organization is asking for permission to add information to your Orchid record for you, as we just saw on the previous slide, and to read any data on your record that is set to trusted parties only, which is one of the visibility settings we talked about earlier. So today we're going to connect to 3 trusted organizations that will help populate your Orchid account in the future. First, we're going to connect to DataCite and Crossref, which are 2 companies that create DOIs, which are associated with many publications, and can automatically add both past and future scholarship to your account. Then we're going to connect to Scopus, which is a citation database that tracks publications across many journals and publishers. It also has a wide variety of subject coverage, so it will help several of you here today with your specific areas of study. I'm also going to share how you can add scholarship manually and then do a brief demonstration where we go more in depth to your Orchid record, and it gives you a chance to ask specific questions about navigating your profile. So this is the edit account screen again. And now, instead of focusing on the areas where we were earlier, we're going to focus on the work section, which is a little bit down on the screen. So I circled the area here on the screen so you can see that where we're going to be. So the first thing you want to do is in the work section. You're going to go to the work section and then click the add work button and select search and link from the drop-down list. Next, once you do that, you're going to see a pop-up window that's called Link Works. And you can locate DataCite in the list, which I've circled here on the screen, and then click on that. From there, you're going to be taken to a new screen, which is either going to pop up in a new window or a new tab, depending on your pop-up settings. And this is going to ask you to get an Orchid token. So this is pretty much the same thing as authorizing a trusted party, which I just talked about. So you'll click on the Get Orchid Token button, and then you'll have connected to DataCite. So now your future publications will be automatically added to your Orchid account without you having to do anything else. So I'm going to pause here for a moment to see if anyone has any questions about linking to DataCite, or if somebody needs another few seconds to complete this step.
If you guys have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself or use the chat. You can also use the reactions buttons. Like if you're good, you can throw in a thumbs up. Okay, it looks like no questions, no comments either.
So then we're going to move on to Crossref. So you're going to go back to your Orchid record. You might have to go back to a previous tab or go back to your original window. And you're going to go to the work section again and then click add and search and link again. From there, this time when the link works window appears, you're going to click Crossref metadata search from the list. So this provides access for automatic updates, but is also going to do a search for your name. Now you may have to authorize Crossref as a trusted party first. They change their settings often, so I don't really have a screenshot to show you what that might look like, but it might ask you to authorize Crossref. Once you do that, then you should see a search screen appear either in a new tab or a new window. It might be in the same window, depending on what your settings are. You'll see your name appear in the search bar. So what you'll do is you'll hit enter on your keyboard to view the search results. And those are going to look like something pretty similar to this. So it's going to do a general keyword search for your name. And depending on how common your name is, you might get some random results. Like, for example, Christina is my first name, and Christina is a very common first name. So in the search, there's several references to the Queen of Sweden, which is not me, and some other, different directors and things like that, which are not me. I'm also not a countess, unfortunately. So, so you can use this search, which you can also go back later. You can refine the search on the left side where you can see where you can select type of publication. You can also select year of publication. And as you go down, there's additional options that you can select to filter down this search so it becomes more relevant to you. The whole point of this is that you can search for publications. If you find a publication that's yours, then you can click the Add to Orchid button, which is circled here on the screen. Once you do that, it will ask you, are you sure you want to add this work to your Orchid record? And then you would click yes or no, depending on whether you want to or not. If you click yes, it will add it to your Orchid record and display it in the work section for you. Now, I'm not going to spend very much time on this because it's easy to get bogged down in this search. So what I would recommend doing is you can do a quick search now visually on the first page, and then come back later and do a more in-depth search for this so you can see if you can find other publications. Now, if you don't have any publications, that's okay too. The big thing is that you've connected your account to Crossref, which means in addition to the search, Crossref will now start automatically updating your Orchid record for you. So next, we're going to move on to Scopus. So you're going to go back to your original Orchid record, either the tab or the window that you have your account in. And you're going to go back to the work section one more time. And then you're going to click Add and search and link again. This time in the Link Works window, you're going to scroll all the way to the bottom because they're in alphabetical order, and you're going to select Scopus-Elsevier from the list. So this is going to cause a new tab or window to appear, and then you simply need to follow along with the next steps that I have on the screen. So I'm going to pause for 1 second so everybody can get there. Okay. So first, when you are on the screen, it's going to ask you to select your Scopus profile if you already have one, and then to confirm your profile name. So you can see here, there's a checkbox next to my name. So you select the checkbox and then click Next on this screen. After that, if you have any publications in the Scopus database, it's going to ask you to confirm those publications so they can be added to your Orchid profile. So you would confirm a publication by clicking the green check mark and then clicking Next. You can also search for missing documents if there's something you believe is in that database but is not appearing on this list. Once you do that, it will ask you to authorize access to Orchid, and it's going to send you a confirmation email. So you'll see this on this screen. So it'll ask you to enter in your email address, and then you click Send Author ID. This is going to send the confirmation email to your email account. So you'll want to go to that email, open it up, and confirm that you want to authorize access. Once you've completed those steps, then your future publications will be sent to you for confirmation to be added to your Orchid record. So what this looks like is you'll get an email from Scopus saying, we have a new publication for you. Do you want to add this to your Orchid? If you click yes, it will add it to your Orchid account for you, and you don't have to do anything other than that. So this is a few more steps than the previous ones. So I'm going to pause and see if anyone has any questions or wants me to go over it with you again.
I have a question.
Yes.
So right now, this is only relevant if we have current publications, right?
If you don't have any publications, you can still link your account to Scopus. So when you get publications, it will send them to you.
Thank
So you
you.
don't have to do the last steps. Yeah. So the review publications part, and the send publications part, you don't have to worry about those steps, but this is still going to help you connect to Scopus for future publication too.
Okay.
I have a question,
Yes, Jennifer has a question. Go ahead.
So I have publications, but they're in my maiden name. So when I looked up my current name, of course there wasn't anything, but my maiden name when I looked it up and it sent them over. So will that, I mean, I did put an additional name when I did so it'll show up that way, correct?
Yeah, so it'll show up under the name that you had it originally published under. I have publications on my profile that I published under my maiden name as well. And the whole point of this is connecting those two names together in one central place on your Orchid record. So now you'll have publications under both names in the same spot. So if someone's confused about whether you're the same person or not, they can look at your Orchid account and see you're the same person because they're all on the same profile. Does that make sense?
Perfect. And I do have another question. So I know once we have the ID, is that something, our ID, we should put on like our CV?
Yes. So you can put your Orchid ID on your CV. You can put it in a lot of different places. And actually, that's one of the last steps that we'll cover today.
Oh, okay.
I'm about to hop into the live demonstration to kind of go over a little bit more of the profile. And then we'll cover all the different ways that you can use the ID after you've created it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So are there any other questions? If not, I'll hop into the live demo.
I have a question really quickly. So if we're not published yet, and like, I'm going to say this wrong, but if I'm doing research in Elsevier, does the Orchid ID work the other way? So like if I want to access research in Elsevier, or only for verification of what I've published?
It's mainly for verification of what you published. If you're looking to search the Scopus Elsevier database, then you want to access that through the UNLV Library's website, and then you can search Scopus through there.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so let's talk about the rest of your profile. So I'm going to hop into the live demonstration portion. Should be able to see the Orchid website now.
Yes, we can see it.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Okay, so we're gonna do, I'm gonna go over different sections of the Orchid profile. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to unmute or type in the chat. I'm just gonna cover some things really quickly. If we need more time or you have additional questions, since we are starting to run a smidge low on time, then we can always chat about that after the workshop over email or something else. So when you're looking at your edit profile screen, one thing I want to point out is you'll notice these three dots next to pretty much every single thing on your profile. So what that is that's visibility settings for everything on your profile. So you have control over what's visible and what's not to the public or anything else. So for example, if I wanted my biography, which I can edit by clicking on the pencil. If I want my biography to suddenly be private, I can change the visibility settings here, click Save Changes. And then if and then it will no longer appear on my account with someone looks at my public profile. But if I change my mind and I want it to be public again, all I have to do is go back and save it. And now it appears again. So you can do that with every single thing on your profile. One of the best things that I like about Orchid is that you have so much control over what is visible and to who on every single thing on your profile. And you can change it at any time. There's no restrictions for that. So a more fully fleshed out profile might have different names for publication, as you can see. Like I've published things under my maiden name, so I have my maiden name visible here. I have my biography. I also have websites that I have shared on here. I have keywords which are related to the work that I do. I also have employment history, education. There's another section called invited positions and distinctions. So this is if you receive awards, prizes, or special positions, you could add that to your account. You can add membership and service, so member to professional organizations and things like that. Funding is for special funding that you receive, grant funding, those things. So you can add that information to your account. Also, often, if you use your Orchid ID when you apply for grants, then that information can get added to your account automatically by the funder in many cases. So that'll come up through the process when you apply for the grant and as you go through the grant process. For works, there's also a couple other things I want to point out here. So you put a lot of control over your work section. You, at any time, you can perform a number of actions, such as if you accidentally duplicate your works, you can combine them to get information. You can export the works so that you can have a type of CD with a list of all of your works. You can change your visibility settings. You can even delete works at any time. Also, you'll notice this displays a brief version of work. But if you if you have more publication information, if you click on show more detail, it's going to list a lot more information for the publication that is available to either other people. It'll also link out to the publication if you have the link. So the other thing I wanted to show you is manually adding works to your account. So under works, you'll see a few other options here that we didn't cover today, including add DOI, add PubMed ID, which I mentioned earlier, and then adding bib text, which is a separate import function. So adding works manually allows you more flexibility for different types of publication besides more traditional publications like journal articles or book chapters or monographs or conference presentations. So it gives you different options. You can add these things manually as well, but you can also add a dissertation or thesis. Other things like magazine article. You can also add newspaper articles, preprints, reports, research tools, websites, and a lot of other things like different types of intellectual property. And then other types of works such as artistic performances, a data management plan, a data set that you create. You can even do physical objects, specific research techniques that you offer, software that you create, technical standard documents, and things like that. So when you select the type of work, so we're just going to go with journal article, you'll want to enter in the title, and then you'll enter in the publication information, the publication date, a link to that item if you have it. If there's a specific type of citation that you want to use, you can select the type of citation here. so that you're associated with a specific type of citation related to your discipline. You can also add specific identifiers, such as lots of different things here. So you can add archive, you can add the grant number if it's a specific type of grant, NHS evidence, International Standard Book number. There's lots of different options here that you can add depending on the type of work. And then you can add relationships. So this self means that you're adding your own work or something that's a part of a work or a version of, if you have multiple versions of a specific work and things like that. You can also add the information for other contributors and specify what your role is or your contribution to that work. And then you can include other information such as languages, country of publication. If it's published in another country, you can also check the visibility settings. You can do that. So that is generally what an ORCID record looks like. I didn't hear if there was any questions as I was going over that. No.
No question.
So we've successfully connected your ORCID accounts and you've learned how to update them manually. So now I'm going to talk about some ways that you can use your ORCID ID. So you can add it to your email signature. So when you email people, they can see the link to your ORCID account and connect to it that way. You can share your ORCID on academic or social media profiles listed on your website, include it in preprint repositories like this example from Archive, where Archive is asking authors to add ORCID IDs to their accounts to make searching better. You can also search for the hashtag ORCID on social media and see the variety of ways that researchers display their IDs. On other social media sites such as Mastodon, a lot of academics use that system, and you can include ORCID as one of your different link options for your account. You want to include it on a CV. If you're applying for a job, you could include your ORCID ID on your CV so that those that are reviewing your application can look at your account. You're also going to want to include it when you're submitting author information. So as I said earlier, there's over 70 publishers that require or encourage the usage of ORCID IDs in their publications, and often will post them as part of the publication online. So to get the most out of your new ORCID record integrations with Crossref and DataCite, your ID has to be included as part of the publication so that those two can pull the publication and attach it to your account. Also want to get into the habit of adding your ORCID ID to your publications by starting with your thesis or dissertation. So once you go to submit your thesis electronically, you can include your ID in the contact information section of your ProQuest profile. ProQuest has the option to look up your ORCID account or manually enter your ID. I would recommend using the lookup feature and then copying and pasting your ID directly from your ORCID account into the provided field. So you don't need to include the HTTPS prefix when you do this. Just include the 16-digit ID, and that's what you'll paste into the field when you're doing that for ProQuest. So I also have some additional resources that you can use to get the most out of your ORCID ID. I'm going to paste a link in the chat once I stop sharing my screen that will link you to the handout that's shown on the screen that has a lot of the links and other useful information that you can use. Finally, we'll have a couple minutes left for questions, but feel free to contact me after this workshop is over. I'm always happy to answer your questions via email, or we can set up a time to chat. and contact me with any questions that you have. That's what I'm here for. So with that, I'll stop sharing my screen so I can actually use the chat.
I have a question. I already registered my Orchid with my UNLV account, like email. So I was wondering if I can switch to my personal email or I need to make another one.
No, you can switch to your personal email. So what you would logged into your account, you'll want to go to your account settings, and then you're going to change the email that's associated with your account settings.
Okay, thank you.
Christina, was that link that you posted the presentation slides?
That was a handout.
Okay.
If I can send a copy of the presentation slides to you, does that work? Then you share it with.
Yeah.
Christina, when I click on it, I can't open it. I don't know. I need
link?
permission, right?
Are you talking about the link, Miriam?
Yes.
So
The
once you open it,
last one.
I'm sorry?
The last one in the chat box.
Yeah, so it's giving you an extra step because it wants to confirm you want to go to the external website. Just click continue and then it should take you there.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, WebEx has this funky thing where it makes you click on an extra step.
Yeah.
But it should be a publicly available handout. But
Yeah,
yes,
I can see it
definitely
now.
send
Thank you.
a copy of the slides. Navina, if that's okay. And then you all can have access to all of this information.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, we still have a couple more minutes remaining if anyone wants to unmute themselves and ask a question, or you could post in the chat as well. And so while we wait for those last couple questions to trickle in, I'll just thank everyone for joining us today. And thank you so much, Christina, for sharing your time and expertise with us. Again, we'll be posting this workshop in the Graduate College YouTube channel. That way you guys can all refer back to it. And for those of you joining us at 2 p.m., we're going to be in this same exact room. So we'll give everyone else a few minutes in between to join before we get started.